video down, please? It's up above at your eye level. There you go. All right, now we can just turn it all the way down. Yep. Otherwise, it kind of feeds back. So we're good.
We good?
Am I singing first or answering questions first or next?
I'll probably just introduce you, say hello, and then we'll go into a song first, and then we'll do questions after that,
Okay.
and then song, questions, song.
Sounds good.
This is WOMM LP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. It's the Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Lily Traviato, aka Princess Nostalgia. How's it going, Lily?
Pretty good.
Good, good. I always like kicking off with the song just so everyone knows kind of what you're about. So we'd like to introduce your first song and take it away.
Okay. This song is called Podium Playground. Nothing.
You turn up and make sure your volume's up.
Yep.
And hold on, start over. We're almost there.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get feedback here. So
On the podium playground, we smile and nod, point fat fingers at false villains, mention our love for God, but behind closed doors we count our bills by the wad. We've kept the plebs so dumb they won't unfold our vicious plot. I'm a good Samaritan, you best believe it, and I'm a proud American. I know that you can feel it. I like 'em incarcerated, uneducated, so I can have more money for me. Stuff the bills in my pocket, buy a two-story yacht, and remind them that they're lucky to be free. Remind them that they're lucky to be. Remind them that they're lucky to be. Remind them that they're lucky to be. Remind them, let's flip. Oh, you choose. Tails I win, heads you lose. Oh, I like to declare war when there's a profit to be made. When our enemies buy weapons, I'm the one getting paid. I raise public morale, tell them the cause is just and right. I really don't give a shit, 'cause I won't ever have to fight. On the podium playground, we smile and nod, point fat fingers at false villains, mention our love for God, but behind closed doors we count our bills by the wad. We've kept the plebs so dumb they won't unfold our vicious plot. I'm a good Samaritan, you best believe it, and I'm a proud American. I know that you can feel it, and I'm a model citizen. I got virtue and strength and pride. Take my hand and I will take you to the promised land. We've got God on our side. Let's flip. Oh, you choose. Tails I win, heads you lose. Oh, let's flip. Yeah, you choose. Tails I win, heads you lose. Let's flip. Yeah, you choose. Tails I win, heads you lose. Oh, let's flip. Yeah, you choose. Tails I win, heads you lose. Do that every time.
Princess Nostalgia there with Podium Playground. Lily, that was... Oh, got a bit of feedback there.
Yep.
Lily, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
Gotta ask, so you're from Italy originally,
Mm-hmm.
and you're obviously now in Burlington via Pittsburgh, I understand it. So did you grow up in Italy or did you grow up in Pittsburgh?
I grew up in Rome.
Mhm.
My mom is from Pittsburgh. She was living in Rome at the time, and she met my dad there, who he was born in Australia, but his parents were Italian immigrants, so he moved back to Italy. And
Well, you're really a product of the world here.
yeah, there's a big mix.
Yeah.
And our family is very scattered across the world. My dad still lives in Italy. We moved here with my brother, my mother, and I moved here when I was 8 years old, and we visit our dad in the summers.
Wonderful. And so how did you end up in Burlington through via Pittsburgh and Italy?
I got into UVM, and of all the schools that I visited, it was the one that felt just the least competitive, or like having the wrong priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what constitutes as the wrong priorities for you then?
Well, honestly, I've been a little bit disheartened even at UVM, even though I think it's a lesser evil, because they are just these institutions that are making money off of us, and the administration's making all the decisions, even though they have nothing to do with what's going on, and both the students and the teachers are getting a bit screwed over, a lot screwed over.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. So obviously there's a social activist streak to you, and there seems to be a social activist streak to your songs as well. I noticed in particular one of the three. What that was an interesting note. I noticed in particular one of the music videos you I believe created was certainly making a social commentary on gender roles. So does this kind of these subject matters come into your songs quite often? How do you pick these subject matters out in terms of how to sing about them?
I guess they're just things that feel relevant to me. I don't know if, I guess it depends how you define activism. I always feel like, yeah, I sing about it, but I also feel kind of like I can't do much. So, but they're definitely just things that, most of the songs that I write about, the lyrics aren't I never sit down with an idea of what I write about, and usually I'll have a beat that's coming together, and first I just sing words that don't really mean anything, just to find the right melody and syllables. But then like ideas just start coming from that, and I start saying something that I felt the need to say, I guess. Sometimes it's obvious when it comes out what I'm trying to say, and other times, like months later or years later, I'll look back and realize things that I knew on some level but hadn't really processed.
It's almost kind of like a therapy in a way.
Yeah, it's a great way of staying in touch with my feelings.
It's like a musical diary.
Yeah.
And you've got this great electronic sound, and I've got to say, as someone that, and I mean no offence to any other Burlington band out there, but as someone that has definitely had his fill of jam at this point and folk at this point, I'm very glad to hear that someone's got some actual beats.
I grew up with Kraftwerk.
Excellent.
But also like funk music and, well, a whole range, and, but yeah, Kraftwerk's a big influence.
Well, it definitely shows. I was going to say, influences-wise, where you're drawing from. It does seem a lot more modern than Kraftwerk, though. I mean, there's beats there that you can imagine sticking on the back of like I don't know, even like a Passion Pit track or a MGMT track or. Yeah,
MGMT is a big influence. But then even people like James Blake, or even Frank Ocean, or Hiatus Coyote. There's a lot of recent ones that I tend to just think of like things that I grew up with and the like root of it, but then I sometimes don't do justice to these things that were huge influence that were more recent. Yeah.
Did it start out as you just producing beats originally when you started getting into music, or did you start out with something a bit more classic and then kind of brought beats into it as you got older?
Well, when I was 8 years old, I started playing the double bass in the orchestra, and just liked it and stuff. Like they forced all the fourth graders to do it, and I was the only one, and I just liked the sound of it, and I also liked that I would be the only one. I was first chair through all of school and didn't have to do anything to get that. But so I first was classically trained on the bass, and played for 10 years, and also switched to the electric bass and did the jazz band for like 4 years. But around the same time when I was 8 years old, I discovered GarageBand and iMovie, and every day after school, my neighbors and I would just get together and direct videos, and we would go to like Joanne Fabrics and get like a bunch of green felt to tape to the wall to do like a homemade green screen. And I discovered my uncle-in-law Greg, actually, I recently remembered this, he showed me GarageBand. He was like, I feel like you would like this. And then I started making stupid backing tracks for our spoof videos. There was one where we dressed up as mosquitoes and like taped, like out of black paper, we taped the stingers onto ourselves and did a rap song on GarageBand. So everything, it was just, I never stopped doing it. And
Okay.
here I am.
So it was, it started out musically, and then you added the visual element to it, and then the kind of beats came after that.
Yeah. And also I should add that all the women, in my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, are all visual artists. So that was part of the journey as well. And so I do my album art now, but I've been into like graphic design recently, but grew up with all of the arts just in the house. The whole first floor of our house looks like a factory right now.
Well, it certainly shows with the fact that you produce your own beats, obviously your own lyrics as well, your own music videos, and I would urge anyone listening to actually go out and search them out because they are fantastically well done. That's something I want to pick your brain about after this. And then, as you were mentioning, you do your own album artwork. Am I right in thinking you've also just create your own art, just generally speaking? Have you ever displayed it in a more public setting, or is it kind of more focused to you?
Yeah, just throughout my life, I've always been doing that and showing art at different opportunities and doing murals and stuff.
In terms of you were mentioning you started out creating your own like spoof visual tracks or music videos. That's now, it seems to have developed into something quite mature. What kind of avenues are you exploring on that front? Do you just make it just for yourself, or do you make music videos for other people around town? Because they are really fantastically directed and produced, so I'm just kind of wondering.
What do you mean for the people around town?
I mean, there's a lot of bands out there, and you've got a
like
great
make
talent.
videos for other people. Oh, yeah. I just for myself. It's more like even having enough time at the end of the day. I have done it. I volunteered to help. I took a gap year before starting school, and when I was in Sydney, I got a job at this after-school program called School of Rock, and tried to teach really jumpy 8-year-olds how to play instruments, but it was mostly just babysitting them all day. Anyway, there was this really cool girl band there who were maybe in their senior year of high school, and we did a video. But it's usually just something that happens because I'm really excited about it and I'm invested in it, and yeah.
How does the concept for we were talking before about you got the one video that kind of traditional gender roles. I saw one where it was almost Wes Anderson style kind of bathtub.
Yeah.
With the water running. How do you get the concepts for the music videos? Is the musical video concept start first and then you attach a song to it, or is it the other way around?
It's always the song first. And then, yeah, it happens different ways. Like the Lost and Found one, I'd had that idea going into it. The first idea that came to my mind was a scene of me as a pimp surrounded by my quote-unquote bitches, and then just went from there. And just listening to that song, it was like, to me, the perfect feeling for that. But then the Princess Nostalgia video was more, the words felt really just kind of like raw, just my feelings, like very true statements about this is who I am. And so the video was kind of just intended to be very raw, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think we should probably listen to another track.
But also a twinge of the absurd.
Well, a little bit.
Not too serious ever. Never too serious.
I did notice that as well. Well, it's also kind of, in that sense, also kind of European, more than American.
Yeah, Americans do cheesier stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit off the wall. But we should definitely listen to another track of yours, as I'm trying to keep on the time. So once I figure out the right things to, or just get Bob to do it.
If I don't kill myself on the way over.
Okay, would you like to introduce the next track?
Can you hit that? Turn it on. Is that you?
No, that wasn't me. Yep, that was me. That was my voice. Put some effects on it.
Because I hit the wrong thing myself.
Good.
We good? Okay. So, let's do Lost and Found. That's the gender reversal song. Oh, no, that's not it. This is it.
Lost and found, I've been up and I've been down, give and take and lost and found. I've been up and I've been down. Ask me where I've been to: Paris, London, Rome, and Spain. Think I won't turn back? Well, baby, better think again. You say you don't believe me, boy, you better check your facts. Just sit yourself down, shut that mouth, and please let me relax. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. Better think again. Better think again. Better think again. Better think again. Yes, I've been up and I've been down. Learn the way to calm myself down. Tabula rasa, my only master. Join the disaster. Tabula rasa, tabula rasa, tabula rasa. Join the disaster. Ask me where I've been to: Paris, London, Rome, and Spain. Think I won't turn back? Well, baby, better think again. You say you don't believe me, boy, you better check your facts. Just sit yourself down, shut that mouth, and please let me relax. Give and take and lost and found. I've been up and I've been down.
Alright, Princess Nostalgia there with Lost and Found. So that's something particularly, which we were mentioning before, is the video with the switch gender roles. So what are you saying particularly in that song with the lyrics and the video? What's the message behind it?
So I'll start with the lyrics. The lyrics I wrote when so during my year off, I moved to Sydney by myself, and I had relatives in Melbourne and also some, not really my uncles, but close enough in Sydney. So I had some family there, but other than that, I was pretty much alone in a place that was unfamiliar, which was exciting, and a lot of serendipitous things happen if you just put yourself out there. And the only way to get to know a place is just to go do things. So a lot of just really amazing things happened during that time, and that song was just, I remember very shortly before I left, or very soon before I left, the friends that I'd made, we had dinner, and my friend Nick asked, let's go around and everyone say something they're thankful for. And I just said my freedom, especially because there's so many, to some people the idea of an 18-year-old girl traveling the world on their own would be like unacceptable. Like for a lot of girls, that's not a reality. So yeah, it was just about my freedom. And so then later on, as all this Harvey Weinstein stuff was happening, and just realizing being a woman, if you're gonna try to, if you are, what's the word, motivated and ambitious, that means that you're gonna get a lot of negative energy from men sometimes. Although I don't want to get I don't believe in demonizing people. So it was just about that. And that song to me felt like a positive message that also was commentary on that as well.
Okay. You mentioned there if you're an ambitious woman, or you get a lot of negative feedback. Have you felt that you've got that? I mean, you're very prolific as an artist. You've created 2 EPs in like 2 years. You're still very young comparatively. Have you felt a lot of pushback from society or men in general?
It's more just this, well, I've become much more vocal about it, but initially most people assumed that I wasn't producing, and even now it's this strange phenomenon of the collaboration, especially in the hip-hop scene, of people asking you, do you want to collaborate and sing on my beat, but like, why would I want to do that when I'm putting in all this work to create my own thing from scratch? I have my own voice. I'm not just a singer. I'm not just a voice to be put, a female voice to be put on your beat. I'm not interested in that at all. And I think that being a young girl in that game means that you get a lot more of that assumption and a lot more of this kind of, and yeah, it's almost like a condescension sometimes, but again, I've gotten much better at just being straightforward about what I want and what I do.
Would you do the flip of that? Would you get an MC to provide a verse on any of your tracks, or is it the moment you're trying to do your solo thing and that's what you're concentrating on?
I've thought about it, and I definitely, hip hop is a big influence on my music, but I don't know. To be honest, I mean, it's not, I'm still open to doing it, but I've never really liked the structure of, like, that we hear, especially on like the big radio stations, of like a female singer and then like 3/4 of the way through someone just hops on and they have nothing in common and it's like a business deal. And that's the thing, people treat collaborations like it's a business deal. And that shocks me. It's so weird to me, but that's the norm these days. And people message you on social media acting like it's a transaction, and it's like, I don't even know you. We don't know if we have anything in common about our vision. Like, I haven't even, sometimes people will ask after hearing, like, I feel like they haven't even listened to my stuff. That used to happen more in the past, but there's just a lot of like, it feels like people, instead of being like, oh, I appreciate what you do, instead of being like, give me a piece of it and let me put my name on it. And yeah, that's what it feels like sometimes.
And I'm just like throwing out hypotheticals here. Would you, if someone took like a beat of yours and like remixed it and made their own with that beat, would that be a good thing, or is that a bad thing?
That's a good thing, yeah. There's 2 great remixes on my profile. I love hearing the way that someone else can totally create something new that I never imagined with it. And then it's like, and that person contributed something. That's a beautiful collaboration. And I've also been collaborating with my friend Joe. We're working on a few songs now, but he's just an amazing guitar player who a year ago just sent me an archive of like 30 really funky guitar riffs, and he understood like what I was doing as an artist, and I understood him, and we had a shared vision, and it made sense, and we've been communicating, and that's great. But it's just very different when it's like a transaction and there's no like actual, it's like the creation part of it is like the least important part.
Yeah. It's cold. There's no actual kind of connection to the music and the soul of what you're actually trying to create.
Yeah,
I guess.
If we're each adding something different to it and we're both benefiting and pushing each other, then that's good.
So talking of kind of collaboration and working with others, you've been in Burlington for about a year.
Yeah.
How have you found the music scene around here in comparison to Pittsburgh, in comparison to Italy? Are you active in the local musical community, or are you kind of finding more of your community online? How much have you dipped your toe in the water?
Well, I only started performing live once I got here. So, well, actually, in Pittsburgh, we had this network of friends growing up in high school who were all making music, and we would share stuff and have like shows together. So there's a whole scene, and there's also a great hip hop scene in Pittsburgh. We have a cypher group called Track Meet, and it's in someone's house, and there's a whole record collection, and people just freestyle or dance or sing. Anyone's welcome. So there's a great scene in Pittsburgh. And then here, I started performing more at places where I didn't know anyone and people who before it was just friends and family who knew about me, and now it's spreading. But yeah, this is pretty much the first time that I've been doing this since I was 8, and this is the first time people are like listening to it, which is kind of
Yeah.
weird sometimes.
And I mean, you performed at Waking Windows, so that
Mhm.
was that's obviously a big festival here, probably the biggest festival for local artists. How was your experience doing that?
It was good. I obviously didn't have like a big stage or any there's the big acts, and we had it was called 41 Main Street, I think, and there were like 30 people there. This local, I'm blanking on his name, but he goes to Burlington High School, and he is an up and coming rapper. He performed, and a lot of his friends were there, and I just met some cool people. But yeah, it wasn't like a big show. It was more like a community space. It was nice.
Well, talking of other gigs and also future projects, so yeah, as I said, you've already got 2 EPs out. Practically Civilized came out in 2016, and you had a self-titled EP that got released last year. Should we expect a third for this year coming out?
I constantly have about like between 5 and 8 songs that are just like either they happen in like 3 days, or they're sitting there for months and slowly they become a thing. And then I've never really had a plan, and I've been pretty impatient at times, so just releasing things the second they feel done, because I'm like just need to like release it. But so usually I'll put things out as they come out, and then looking back, group that phase and release it. Although Practically Civilized I only released one thing from that. But so yeah, I have a bunch of stuff in the works now. I don't know when I'm gonna release it or how I'm gonna group them or which ones, but there's 2 that I'm really sure of that I'm really excited about.
And just in terms of where people can find you, I find you on SoundCloud, which is my personal favorite resource. But is there anywhere else?
Yeah, all the pages, the YouTube, the Bandcamp, the SoundCloud, the Facebook. Yeah.
The Spotify?
No, not Spotify yet. I haven't really looked into that process.
Watch the space on that one. And in terms of future gigs, so as I said, you played Winter Windows last weekend before. Have you got anything coming up for people to come see you at?
Nothing that's officially on
Okay.
the plans yet, but yeah.
A few unofficial things in the works.
A few ideas, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we've got about time for about one more song. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. I really actually wanted to see you Waking Windows, and I missed you by about 5 minutes, which is very frustrating.
No worries.
You can blame my roommate for that one because she was playing at a band at a gig across town. But yeah, very very psyched that you came in. You're doing some fantastic things, and I can't wait to hear more music. So yeah, if you want to introduce your last song, and you can take it away.
Sure. Gosh, which one? Okay. We'll do Princess Nostalgia since it's the other video that we discussed. Oh, and I always introduce this one as the baby of the last song, Lost and Found. If you hear this, that's a loop that I accidentally, in Logic you can like put a little loop on top, and it was repeating and I really liked it, so I recorded it on my phone and sampled that, and then this song was layered on top of it. I want an eye for an eye, don't ask me why. I suppose I know that sometimes
I like to cry. I love the feeling, losing track of time. I can't deny, I got no alibi. I like to cry. I got no alibi. I like to take my time. I can't tell wrong from right. I'll never stop asking why. I'm only afraid of dying at the wrong time. Dying at the wrong. Dying at the wrong. Dying at the wrong. Dying at the wrong time. I don't ever wanna have to rely on any guy. I like to avoid saying final goodbyes. I like to take my time. I can't tell wrong from right. I'll never stop asking why. I'm only afraid of dying at the wrong time. Dying at the wrong. Dying at the wrong. Dying at the wrong. Dying at the wrong time.
Princess Nostalgia there with, what was the title of that track? Was that just Princess Nostalgia? Self-titled track, Princess Nostalgia. Lily, thank you so much for coming in, really appreciate it. Please come on again whenever you've got something new out, I'd really like that. Listen out for it on SoundCloud, Princess Nostalgia. I think you can just Google it, Bandcamp, and Facebook. Next week we've got Emma back coming and Senya Yit. I've been Tom Proctor, this has been The Rocket Shop, and now back to some music.
Am I good to unplug this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, thanks very much, man.
Thanks for
So
having me.
do you have any of your music that you like on the radio?
June 6th.
Like, has it been on the radio?
they're rescheduled.
No, do you want it to be?
Do you want it on this radio station?
On this
We'll
radio
stick it in
station.
the-
So when we're not doing
cycle.
shows, we have
Oh.
automation playing and it randomly picks up songs and plays them.
Well, I won't say no to that if you want to. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Sweet.
Definitely.
I appreciate the support.